the sprite, Mario sprite, high priority, so it will be above every other sprite. So when you got the plants, for example, it will be above it. And then we've got DB sprite priority. I bet that's priority, idiot. Sprite priority. Bad spelling there. So sprite priority Mario, which is our sprite. I want to set it to 1, which makes it go above all the other ones. And that's our create player method complete. Very simple, this one. Once again, copy this because that's what we want. Create that, and then we're going to go take damage. In theory, we don't really want this to happen, but this is a game that we're creating. I want to make sure everything's working well. So if current Mario fire, this is the method a hacker would get into to stop to memory hack your address. So it'd hack into this address here, wherever it gets located on the processor, and well, memory, sorry, processor, what am I talking about? And it would just simply get that address and kill this method, or at least stop this from happening. So it'd call a no up there. But I guess that's something for when I start doing some more hacking tutorials, which I expect to do. Taking damage equals true. So he's been hit, you know, take damage, taking damage equals true. Current Mario equals normal Mario. So if he was Fire Mario, we change him to normal Mario. DB play sound, S pipe and damage. The reason why I call this pipe and damage is because if you pay attention in the games, the damage, the receiving damage sound is exact same as going down a warp pipe. Else kill Mario. So kill him. So if he wasn't on fire, then we kill him because he's got no protection. So all this is take damage. We don't want to say kill Mario immediately unless we have to. For example, unless he touches death ground. So that's our method complete there. And our last one, actually not last one. There's still a few more to go. Void as usual. Void character events. Handle. Actually no, this is respawn Mario, sorry. That's the next one. Respawn, what the hell? Alright, respawn Mario. So as you'll see here, as you've probably just seen, is when you do the 2 colons, you'll see that the misc dot, this is something we have to write in a second. This is something we have to do later on when we're calling the methods. All we do is the semicolons. That's the beauty of classes. We do them or dot. We can do either of them, it doesn't really matter, and we call the method from that class. And then we do misc dot. This is a method we don't have here yet, so we're gonna go call it quickly. So I'm just gonna write it down. Clean up enemies. Now this, we need to use this to clean up the enemies on every level. And then we do load current level. Now we're reloading the level. We have to do this because every box that's been hit, for example, needs to be reset. Current Mario equals normal Mario. So we set him to default Mario. When I say dying equals false, and you'll know why we need to declare that. Am I alive equals true. So Mario is now alive. Damage flashes. This is what we use for our death animation, or actually damage animation as well. Then we got player X equals check player X. Now if he touched a checkpoint, then we put him there. If he didn't, check player X is by default 0, so we leave him at the start. Check player X, check player Y. Player Y equals check player Y, and then we say map X equals checkpoint X. So all that does is stores map X, and then map Y equals 0. Now you need to have this here, or when you restart the game, when you respawn him after dying, basically what you're doing is you are causing map Y to change the whole map on the y-axis. So, for example, Goombas won't be when they fall down with the physics, they won't be positioned directly on the floor. They'll be a bit above it, and that is a bit buggy. You don't want to see that. Equals. Obviously, I'd be better off explaining this whilst it's happening, because most of the time you won't understand what I'm talking about. Because I'm not very good at explaining these things. So there's our respawn method complete. I'll be right back. Okay, so we've done our respawn Mario method. Now what we're going to do is our handle damage method. So as usual, just copy this and we'll call this handle. Oops, handle damage. Do that, open and close. So what we're doing here is we're checking if dying, if if's not dying, and he's not alive. I alive. Make sure that's right. Yep. And oops, sorry. Am I alive equals true actually, so we can leave it like that. And am I alive? And taking damage. So we're saying if he's not dying, if he's alive and he's taking damage, first thing we're going to do is if db timer minus flash timer is greater than 40, so we update these flashes on a 40 millisecond basis. We do damage flashes plus flash timer equals db timer. Make sure that's okay. We really got to pull a run on this soon, because it's to find out, because I'm sure we've got quite a few errors. Well, hopefully not, but you know what it's like. So if and then you go if death flash equals 1, db hide sprite. Now, did we declare death flash above? Oh no, that's something we're going to do in a second. So if death flash equals 1, you'll know what this is for in a second. db hide sprite. So what this does is it hides him and then shows him. So death flash equals 0. We could do that to set multiple thingies at once. Else db show sprite. So if it doesn't equal 1, it's got to equal 0. So if death flash equals 1, else sorry, blank moments. Yeah, so else db show sprite, and that sprite is Mario, and then we do death flash equals 1. So if it was flashing, then display it. If it wasn't, then flash it. Then we're saying if damage flashes equal 25. So after 25 flashes, we basically reset him back to normal. So he's taking the damage. Damage flashes equals 0. Taking damage equals false. And db show sprite Mario. So the reason why we do this here is because we want to make sure it displays him after the thing is done. Because I was having a bug sometimes where when he died and respawned, he wasn't displaying again. So we've got to make sure we put db show sprite here again. So taking damage equals false and damage flashes equals 0. That seems fair to me. And this is our handle damage complete. Let's do that. So void. Just copy that whole thing. Doesn't really matter. Void character events, and this is our handle death. It's grim. This is going to be slightly bigger than the previous one, but we're right near the end of the class. So if dying equals true, or just if dying by itself, it works just fine. And I alive equals false. So if he's dying, it's quite funny because it's like, but by dying I mean we set dying to give him a last flash animation before he goes. And resets. So if db timer minus flash timer is greater than 40, player y equals player y minus 3 point, well, it's not 3.0 because it's not float, just 3. So what we're doing here, when he dies, we make him go up a little bit. So you know on the real one how he dies and he gets quickly moved up. What we're doing is we're slowly moving him up. It's not exactly the same as that one, but it's the same effect. Damage, flashes, plus plus, flash timer. So we're using the same variable, equals db timer. So we're using the same variable to do our flashing as we did for the handle damage, and then just like before we copy this here. We don't really care, so just copy these 3 lines, so copy those, and what we want to do, instead of 25 we want to do 50 here because this is for his death. So death, and then if damage flashes equals 50, then we pretty much kill him, we get rid of him. So db show sprite death flash equals 1, blah, 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 and that's fine. And then something we have to do here as well, once we go on to the damage flashes equals 50, we have to have, this is what I was telling you about, if we don't have this here, sometimes you will spawn and you'll be invisible, so you don't want that. And then what you want to do, if lives, oh damn it, if lives are greater than 0, then we continue, right? We respawn him, respawn Mario, and that's what we declared up there, of course. Yep, do we? Respawn is a big R. Yep, there you go, that's it. Else, if lives aren't greater than 0, he's got no lives left, so let's end the game for him. So dying equals false, excuse me, and end game equals true. And that's that. The game is over for him. And this is where that warning will come up saying, you know, game is over, and so on. And I believe that is it for this method. Oh, actually what we want to do at the end is just display the sprite. So just after, I'm gonna do this to make sure I've got the right position. Yeah, so just after this bit, db sprite. So make sure you are giving enough space. So what's the word for it? It's indenting. Yeah, make sure you're indenting your code, because if you don't do that, especially on some of the stuff we've already written, some of the stuff that we will write, you are looking at having a lot of trouble. So make sure you indent your code. I mean, Visual Studio 2010 does that for you most of the time, but you can't really use that. By the way, if any of you guys are using Visual Studio 2010 successfully with Dark GDK, I'd appreciate if you could let me know, because I'd really like to use that instead. Last time I tried, I had a lot of trouble with it, and it was just stupidly insane. It's the fault of the guys that the game creators. They're a bunch of idiots, and they make a good tool to write games in, and then they just quit like a bunch of gay boys, which is really stupid. So now things like XNA and all that are obviously going to constantly be better than them, because obviously they got constant updates and so on. So it's kind of ruined anyway. So this is the number of methods we've got here already, which is quite a lot of them. So we're going to have a Kill Mario one now. So it's a new one. So yeah, it's really a shame, because 1 or 2 more years in this language is, it might still be, because there's a series of bugs that aren't fixed and all that kind of stuff, which is really stupid. So anyways, so if I alive and dying equals false, and taking damage equals false. So if he's not taking damage and he's not dying and he's alive, we're going to handle his death. So first thing I want to say is dying equals true. So this will make sure the flash animation comes up. Lives minus minus, so decrease the lives by 1. Am I alive equals false, so declare him dead. db play sound, oops, play sound s death, that's that sound there, and death flash. What this does now, flash equals db r nd, so rnd finds a random value between well 0 and 1.